Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today in my bay window bed while we do some garden maintenance. So let's go. This flower bed needs a lot of attention. It is very pretty, it's packed with a lot of fun things, but I do need to come in here and do some general maintenance. And also I wanted to add some flowers and then give it a nice layer of mulch. So I'm going to take you in for a closer look to show you some of the things we're going to tackle today. Lining the outside of this bed is a daylily. It's the Stella daylily. I love it. It looked beautiful when it was blooming, but you can see it is past its prime. I wasn't very good about deadheading it, and that's okay. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to be cutting them way back. Right here, this is the Great Blue Lobelia, and it is a wonderful native perennial. It blooms in the late summer, early fall. Honestly, I think every gardener should have it, especially if you're looking for late season interest. You can see it's budded up right here. Well, it is all over this flower bed. I'm going to show you. There's one right there. And oh, look, there are a whole bunch more. There are weeds that need to get pulled, but I'm planning on pulling out all of these Great Blue Lobelia seedlings, potting them up, and adding them to my backyard plant nursery. We have a bunch of lupin that have gone by, and the seeds have already dropped. And if there are any more seeds left, I'll just be collecting those. But the key for today is to cut the stalks way back down, because you can see at the base of the plant, it is pushing out new growth. So it is a good time for us to do some cleanup with the lupin plants that are in here. In case you're wondering what this beautiful plant is, this is a verbascum. Isn't it pretty? Just past the verbascum down over here, these are iris. And what I'm planning to do with that patch of iris, as well as the patch of iris over here, is just cutting them back a little bit because they've definitely become strappy and they're just looking a little leggy. So I'm going to cut them back, but not all the way, just about halfway. My plan for this video is to show you a sampling of each of those tasks, and then I'll tackle the rest of the tasks on my own. I do want to add a nice layer of mulch in this bed when all is said and done. And if we have time, I'd love to also add maybe some annuals, maybe some perennials. I'm not quite sure. But let's first tackle the tasks that are very important that need to be handled first. To do this job, I'm just using these small hand shears. They work really well with quickly cutting back my daylilies. I just press down on the top and that unlocks it, and it just looks like scissors. If you have reblooming daylilies, such as this one, which is Stella daylilies, you can definitely leave them full size, come in and just clean out leaves that have gone by, flower stalks that have gone by, and leave the whole entire plant as is. However, I'm choosing to cut it back for a number of reasons. I will be digging out every other daylily in this bed and replacing it with something else. And also, I just want to get in here and really do a good job with weeding and cleaning this bed up. So I will be coming in and I will be cutting this back to about 8 inches or so in height. And what I want to do is take a small clump like this. I want to be careful with my tool because it is sharp. I don't want to cut myself. And I just want to cut. Using a tool like this makes this job so much quicker, so much easier. I love Stella daylilies, but I noticed that once they go by, I really don't have anything else blooming on the outside of this flower bed, which is why I want to remove every other daylily at some point soon and replace them with possibly some other type of daylily that blooms later in the season. I notice with this daylily foliage, because it's so tall, it actually hides everything that's in the inside of this flower bed. And that's not good because there's some beautiful things in here that I want to see. What's nice about daylilies is they will refresh and put on additional new growth. Like a lot of perennials, daylilies like to be divided every 3 to 5 years. These daylilies desperately all need to be divided. But when it comes to dividing the daylilies I'm going to leave behind in this bed, I'll probably do that in the spring. All right, now that this has been cut back, the other thing I could do, just so the bed looks a little cleaner, is I could come in here if I wanted to, and I could just pull out any of the leaves that don't look good. But that's optional, and I can always come back and do that job later if I choose to. But I just wanted to show you that's all you would do is just come in here and pull these leaves back. It just makes your plant look cleaner and neater. And this is true for if you chose not to cut back your daylily, you should still come in here and just pull out any of these leaves that have gone by. It a lot of times happens like at the base of your plant. In case you're wondering what this is actually a beautiful echinacea or coneflower. I just planted it here yesterday and I got it down from my backyard plant nursery. Can you believe I winter sowed this? It is so pretty and it's its first year blooming. And I got the seeds for this plant off of Baker Creek or rareseeds.com. When it comes to my lupin, you can see that it does not look good at all. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to cut back at the base each of these stalks where the flowers were. And then what I'm going to do is carefully put it inside of a bucket that I have here because there are still some seeds left in this and I want to make sure I collect those seeds that are remaining. I love lupin. It's not a plant that loves to be transplanted. A lot of people have a hard time with it. So what I recommend if you want to have lupin in your yard is get the seeds and scatter it in an area where you really want this plant to be. Or if you do get a small plant, oftentimes you'll find them on Facebook Marketplace and places like that, a little tiny seedling of a plant. You want to make sure you don't disturb the roots and just get that plant right in the ground and then don't disturb the plant after that. Just let it do its thing. Because once the plant establishes itself, it will be very happy in its new location. I can also come in here and remove any of the leaves that just don't look good anymore. They've gone by. And all we're looking to do is hold back or keep any of the new growth that's coming through because it actually looks very pretty in the garden. It has a nice texture to the leaves. I do have videos showing you how to start lupin from seed or how to collect lupin seeds. I'll be sure to link any of those related videos down in the description below. I'm just following each of these leaves down to the base. I really do love lupin, and this plant has done very well in this bed. It looked so pretty when it bloomed earlier in the season. And I'm excited that it did drop a bunch of seeds in here, so I'll have more plants to look forward to in future years. It's definitely not a plant that I would advise on digging up and dividing. I do love to divide my perennials. I love to divide them constantly, in fact. But lupin is not one that I would really want to attempt, at least not in the near future. It's so satisfying when we take care of our plants. I find it so easy to buy a plant and put it in the ground, but maintenance is definitely part of the deal that is important for a healthier plant. Look how much better this plant looks now that we've cleaned it up. I like to just recycle my pots for a lot of projects such as this one. And I'm just using compost that I got from a local transfer station. And it works out well for me. Sometimes it has little bits of wood or trash that I just have to take out of it. Now, if I had a place where I wanted to put these plants, I could dig them up and move them to that location. I have this plant in lots of areas of my yard, so I don't need any more. I'd rather pot it up and put it down in my backyard plant nursery. It's a popular plant. People love to buy it, so I can definitely sell these plants that way. One thing I've learned about plants that are native to this area, such as the Great Blue Lobelia, is that they spread quickly, either through seed or through roots. But I think that's what native plants are meant to do, is to, if they're happy, they are going to spread readily. And when it comes to a plant like Great Blue Lobelia, what I tell a lot of people that come to my house and buy plants from me is it will drop its seeds everywhere. And if you don't like that or you don't want that, it's too much work, too much maintenance, then all you need to do is cut off the seed heads after the plant has gone by, as soon as it's done blooming. And that's true with any plant that you find in your garden. If you find that it's self-seeding everywhere, like I know Rose Campion does that as well. There's a number of plants that do that. If you don't like that, then as soon as the flowers are done blooming, just cut off the blossoms before they go to seed. These are just little baby plants. They will not bloom this year. They may possibly bloom next year. So I like to put at least 3 to 5 plants in each pot. And what I'll do is I will just add a small drink of water to this pot. I'll put it in the shade for a few days and then I'll move it down to my backyard plant nursery. Is digging up each of these plants a tedious process? Absolutely, but I think it's well worth it. I love sharing, especially native plants with others. And if you didn't want to do something like this, that's fine. You could definitely add these to your compost pile if you wanted to. When it comes to just cutting back my iris, the reason I'm doing it is for aesthetic reasons. And many times you'll see people say to cut your irises almost like in a angle like this. And the reason they say to do that is for aerodynamics. If it was very windy out, you don't want your iris to flop over and fall. That's especially true if you're dividing iris, because iris don't like to be planted very deep. So you would cut the fans of the iris like that. But we're just doing that just so it's a cleaner, neater look in the garden. And the other thing I want to do is just go at the base. And I just want to pull any leaves that don't look good. So I'll just continue going on and doing that same process, but I just wanted to show you what I'm doing with my iris and why. So here's a before shot, just so you can see what everything looks like. Notice the Great Blue Lobelia is even in the lawn, doing its thing. And as we turn and you look inside, a lot happening in here. It's going to look so much cleaner, so much neater when all is said and done. Okay, I've got my work cut out for me. Let me tackle these tasks and then I'll show you what's next. I was able to dig up a lot of goodies. These taller plants you see here, these are Great Blue Lobelia, and they are a really good size. In fact, if you look carefully, they are budded up. So they might end up coming back in this bed on a different day. The thing is, the placement of where they were was not optimal. Some look better than others. They're a little sad, but they'll recover. They're such a tall plant that they're just under a little shock. And at the base in the smaller pots, those are just more of the Great Blue Lobelia seedlings. I'll definitely be adding those as part of my backyard plant nursery. This right here is a threadleaf coreopsis. I'm glad I found pieces of it. This came from my mother-in-law's yard a number of years ago, and I've lost a lot of it. So this is what remains, and I can't remember if it's a light purple or a light pink color, but I'm really glad that I found some. So I potted that up. There's some more of the Great Blue Lobelia seedlings. These are just some iris that were down in my plant nursery. They never made it into this area for planting. I'm just going to put them back in my backyard plant nursery. I know they bloomed. I don't remember their colors. So I will go shopping in my nursery next year to bring plants back up to this space that we've weeded today. And then finally, more Great Blue Lobelia seedlings. If you can believe it, I did throw out a bunch of very small seedlings. I just couldn't throw these out. I mean, these are a good size and someone else can enjoy them in their yard. So all of these will get moved down to my plant nursery just as a holding spot. And as we make our way this way, this is where this flower bed begins. And you can see it's been weeded and it's been mulched. All of the Stella daylilies have been cut back. Everything's just looking nice and fresh and clean. And as much as I really wanted to plant some annuals and perennials in here, I had to be realistic with my time. This was a full day project. But I think it's important to show you maintenance work that's done in flower beds because it's pretty easy to just buy some plants and put them in a pot. And the reality is, if you want your flower beds to look good and you want your perennials to thrive and perform well, there is a lot of maintenance, a lot of work that goes along with it. And I love sharing that journey with all of you. Right in here is where my septic tank is, so I don't want to plant anything on that. But I will be coming in on a different day and I'll be putting some pots and containers there just to make that area look pretty. Let's go in closer over here. I want to show you something. I had seen a while ago a morning glory seedling that was in this flower bed. I did dig it up and I moved it and I put it on this trellis here. And that was the reason why this trellis has been here for as long as it has been this season, was waiting for this day for us to put that morning glory seedling up along this trellis. It should be happy. I did give it a good drink of water, and now it's going to take off. I can't remember if it's a blue color or a pink color, so we'll have to wait to find out. And right behind this trellis, you can see there's the echinacea that I showed you earlier in the video. And here are some other echinaceas that I had started from seed as well, using the winter sowing method. It's their first year blooming, and I just moved them in this spot recently, and I think they look so pretty. And right behind it is the beautiful Annabelle Hydrangea. This is just a different angle of this flower bed. I cleaned the bird baths, so those are nice and fresh. And just a nice layer of mulch after weeding makes such a big difference. The lupin look good. They've been cut back and they just are showing their fresh growth at the base, which is always a nice sight. Last year when I planted these lupin here, I planted 4 and 1 did not make it over here. So on a different day, I'll go to my backyard plant nursery and I'll take a lupin that I started from seed and just plant it right in that spot where I lost one. At the base of the iris, you can see it's been all cleaned up, and they just look tidy when you cut them back a little bit. In case you're wondering what this plant is, that's a Spirea. We divided that in the early spring months, so they're pretty small in this flower bed, but I did come in and I deadheaded, which means I just went through, and if there was a blossom that had gone by and was spent, I just went in and clipped it off. Because this plant should put on new blossoms throughout the season, as long as I keep deadheading it. And then right next to the Spirea is this beautiful purple plant, and this is called speedwell or veronica. And last year we divided a bunch of these in this flower bed, and they just look so pretty this time of year. But they will require maintenance if I want them to keep blooming, so I'll have to be good about just continuing to deadhead these as well. Later in the season, these Montauk daisy will be blooming, putting out nice white daisy-like flowers. They're a wonderful plant to have for late season interest. This bird bath was cleaned as well, and just what a difference. And I'm motivated now to get some more plants put into this flower bed now that it's been cleaned up. You can see where I stopped. There is still more work to be done up along my front walkway, but that's for another day. That's what's great about setting goals in our flower beds. I love my goal of 1 flower bed at a time. We've tackled 1 flower bed in terms of weeding. We'll add some flowers in there on a different day, and then we'll tackle this front flower bed, which is my front walkway. I really hope you enjoyed watching me just tackle this flower bed when it came to just general maintenance. It's such an important part of our gardening experience. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Please drop them down in the comment section below. And be on the lookout for future videos as we continue tackling this flower bed and adding some beautiful color into here. It's not too late. It's still summertime. We have plenty of time to make this bed look even more beautiful. Until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.